So I made it to Port Hardy and kept going until I made it to the Cape Scott trailhead parking. So this is the parking lot here for the North Coast Trail and some other side trails. It's quite rainy, as you can see here, so hopefully tomorrow it'll be a little bit better, but I'm going to leave in the morning and hopefully I'll do around a 6-day hike and then come back and do another day hike. So this is the trail here, and I've got basically 6 or 7 days of food with me, and I'm just gonna start here and make it up and see as far as I can go. Hopefully I can make it to somewhere around here or up here before I turn back, and then on my way back I'll come and I'll do Cape Scott, and then from Cape Scott I will come back down to the parking lot here. Now the reason for that route is because there's no way out from up here except by water taxi to Port Hardy, and that's a $90 water taxi, and then you got to pay another like $90 or so for a shuttle that takes you back to your car over here. So it's just way too costly. So I'm just going to come up and see how much of the trail I can do before I actually have to go and head back onto the same trail. Well, I just slipped off a boardwalk and fell like 6 feet down into the bush here onto some roots. Luckily I'm okay. It took me a little longer than I thought to break my fall, but that's the boardwalk up there. Basically the boardwalk is slanted and it's super slippery, so I wasn't paying attention and I was just walking on it and I slid down it. So that's why you gotta stay focused when you're hiking. So you can see right there is where I fell. I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but there's actually quite a bit of slant here. Alright, this is Neeson Bight, the beach. So I see some other campers there. I'm gonna go find a spot on this beach and set up for the night. This is actually a really nice beach, and I'm just gonna walk a little further down because I want to get away from everybody, get my own little space. And I want to see if I can find some water. I think there's supposed to be a stream coming out somewhere here, but I haven't seen one yet. Cool. A little plastic crate of some sort. It looks like it's from Japan, which means it probably washed up here from the tsunami. I'm all set up for the night and just finished cooking, so I'm going to go eat my food. And I'm pretty much in the middle of the beach here. but I'm high enough to avoid the tide, so that's all that matters.
Alright, it's morning now, and I've got about 17k to go today. I'm gonna try and make it to Shuttle something or other Bite, it's called. It's just another beach. And then hopefully I will be able to do a day hike from there the day after to get just a bit further. So it's gonna be a long day today.
Well, today so far is not fun. It's just a giant mud pit. Been going in for 20 minutes and I was doing all right, and I finally just fell in here. This board that went under. So I'm filling my water from this creek here, and this is the color that's come out. Now, I'm kind of thirsty, but I think I'm gonna keep going and look for a better creek. This is running off like a pond up there. That water looks pretty bad. That's after it's been filtered. So I'm not gonna drink this. I wouldn't drink this unless I boiled it, but I'm gonna keep going. Hopefully I can find another stream. So I found another river. Looks like it might be the same source river, but it's had a lot more filtering. It's gone downstream a bit more. And as you can see, the water is looking a lot better now. All right, after 3 hours of mud pits, I finally can hear the ocean. This looks like I'm just about to come to a beach. Some paw prints here. Definitely made by a bear. As you can tell how big they are in comparison to the size of a human foot. There's just so much garbage on this coast. If you look, you can see all the plastic that's there. Old tires, more plastic. Plastic, floaties, styrofoam. Compared to the West Coast Trail, there's just a ton more garbage on this north part of the island. So you see all those bugs that are by that log over there? Those are actually in the air everywhere. Millions of them. I'm in a swarm. And it's making it actually quite hard to hike because they just keep hitting me in the face. They're not biting or anything, but you know, it's hard walking through a swarm of bugs, and you can't really see them on the camera here, but they are absolutely everywhere. It's probably hard to pick up on the camera, but there are some sea otters out there swimming around. There's a couple more closer here. So I didn't quite make it to Shuttleworth, but I did manage to find a beach here that's past high tide after a while. I'm pretty close, maybe another 2 hours away. But I think I'm just going to camp out on the beach here tonight. Just set up right here and keep going in the morning. And I've leveled out the land a little, so I won't be rolling down a slope during the middle of the night. Alright, I think it's done. Dinner of Champions. Alright, it's day 3, and it rained last night, and it's raining now. So it sucks, it makes my pack a little heavier, but I have about 13 kilometers to go today to get to Cape Subtle, so shouldn't be too hard. This right here is like the perfect hike right now. Just in the rainforest. Rain's coming down. It's warm out. Just everything feels so fresh. So I've come across a cable car here to cross this river. So I've used one of these before on the West Coast Trail. This one looks all right. All right, here I go. Now I'm stuck in the center, so I have to pull my way over there. And I'll put the phone down because this is easier with 2 hands. I made it to Shuttleworth Bight. This is where I was supposed to make it to last night. It's a really nice beach, but I'm debating if I should just spend some time here and then hike back or keep going. So I think I'm gonna head back to Laura Creek tonight because the trail is not very well maintained. I'm not having too much fun on this trail. And this is already the third day, so it's gonna probably take me 3 days to get back to the junction and a little further. And I'm gonna actually go hike the Cape Scott Trail, which is supposedly a lot better. This is pretty far along the trail anyways. There's only about a day and a half left if I were to do the whole trail. So in total, my hiking, I'll still be doing 7 days, but I'll just miss the last day and a half of the North Coast, which shouldn't be too exciting because so far it's been just mostly mud pits and rocky shores walking on. Nothing really worth checking out. So actually now it's a little bit on low tide, and I'm walking over to this edge here because there's a big river that I crossed through the bush there on a cable car. But I think I might be able to take a huge shortcut if I can cross the water here, but I got to get closer to see how deep it is. I found a good spot. You can see the river here is pretty shallow. I should be able to cross here. This will save me a good hour on walking back through those mud pits and having to do that cable car again. Alright, so I took this shortcut across the river, and thanks to Game of Thrones though, I now know how to fast travel. So I'm gonna fast travel back to the Cape Scott Junction. And there, I'm back at the junction. So fast travel seems to have worked. Otherwise it would have been 2 days of strenuous hiking in the rain. I'm glad I didn't have to go through that. So I went down a side trail and came out to this little memorial here, and it says something about child died at 12 years old, 1906. So this is a pretty old monument, but lots of flat land around here, and this is great because I'm at the junction, so I'm actually going to come camp here tomorrow night. Which will be the perfect halfway spot before heading out. Well, I wonder what this thing used to be. Back in the early 1900s probably, because that's the memorial over there. So I've collected some cool rocks here from the beach and seashells, and I want to keep these, but I'm going to leave them here so I don't have to hike them all the way to Cape Scott, and I'll grab them on my way back. And I am just going to hide them. Hopefully no one will notice that. Oh, I came out to some open meadows. Let's take a look at this bight. I don't know what a bight is. I don't know the difference between a cove, a bay, and a bight. It's definitely a beach. And oh, it's nice. And this is home for tonight. Just as the sun is coming out to dry all my stuff. Well, look at this, fancy. A hose coming out, shooting water into this bucket. Water is untreated, please boil. Well, I'm not gonna boil, but I got my filter here. Does just as well. Well, that water is pretty brown, should be safe, but I might actually boil it after all. The water on this trail so far hasn't been all that great. It's not like the clear snowmelt water I'm used to. Little driftwood shelter here that somebody built on the beach. Looks like the remains of an old boat here. So when you boil water, you actually have to boil it for at least a minute to kill all the bacteria inside. You can't just boil it and you're good to go. So let it boil for a little longer. The longer you wait, the more bacteria you kill. Coming up to this big colony of birds here. Let's see what they do when I try and walk through. Oh, what's that big white bird there? Is that like a stork or something? Some sort of a heron. Right in the middle, the big white one. So I've gone and gathered a bunch of cool seashells and stuff here. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Take these home with me. Or, you know, sell them down by the seashore. Although there's pretty much millions of them there, I don't think I'd get too much business selling them here. So I think I'm just gonna keep these ones. So I found a hammock here in the woods right by the beach, and it's not very comfortable because it's like hard fishing net and it's a little too small, but it's better than nothing, and after hiking for 4 or 5 days it's just actually pretty good to relax. It's day 5 and Cape Scott is only 6.5 kilometers away, so I'm just gonna go without a pack, and I've just brought a bit of food and some water, and that should be enough to make it the 13 kilometers both ways. You can see a wolf had come by this morning. These are the wolf tracks right here, right next to the human tracks. Well, I'm already at the next beach. Forgot how quick you can hike without a pack on. I made it to the final beach here before Cape Scott. This is called Cruise Bay, I think. That's really nice, as all the beaches are here. And I think I gotta go up that way, and Cape Scott is somewhere up in those clouds. Made it to the Cape Scott lighthouse. This is a cool little tree house they've built here.
Even has a couple swings hanging below it. Well, it sounds like lighthouse keepers doing some construction. And here is the lighthouse. And here's just a bit of information of Cape Scott after the original settlements failed. And over here is just a bit of a story. It's worth a good read. It talks about the Royal Canadian Air Force and when they were here during World War II building this place, and then how they turned it over to the Canadian Coast Guard once the war was over. Not much of a view, but you can just make out those tiny little islands there off the coast. It would probably look really nice up here if it weren't for this damn cloud I'm in. Cool. Look, it's a jellyfish. Or at least I think it is. It's pretty jelly-like. I'm feeling pretty good. Sun's out, burning off this cloud, no pack on. I got 3 large beaches that I'm gonna have to hike back across. So I figured I'd do a bit of running, and I'm gonna run all 3 of these beaches. So that'll probably tire me out quite a bit. But it's actually, after hiking for 5 days, I actually have surprisingly quite a lot of energy, and I want to burn it off, so I'm gonna go for a little bit of a run. Oh, if raptors existed, this is where they'd get me. Stay out of the long grass! So I packed up and I'm on my way back to the parking lot, but I am running out of steam, so I'm not going to make it back to my car today. So I'll camp at that spot I found a couple days ago. Or was it yesterday? Well, the spot by the memorial. So once I get to the junction, I'll set up camp for the night, and then it'll hopefully be just around 10 or 11 kilometers from there that I can just do easily in the morning. Made it to the junction, and according to the sign, trailhead is 13.1 k and Eric Lake is 9.8. Both too far for me to make comfortably today. So I'm just going to set up camp over here. So I'm going to check my secret hiding spot, see if my shells are still there, and rocks. Oh, perfect. A few spiders and insects, but still here. So I picked up this tradition from this guy I met on the Pacific Crest Trail, where he said every time he was done a long backpacking trip, he would have one of these creme brulees on his last day. So I've started to do that now, and I got one here, and I'm pretty excited. It's my last day, or my last night, so I'm gonna cook this and see how it tastes. It should be ready now. Looks gooey. Wow, that is amazing. This is better than the dessert you get at most restaurants. I forget how much I paid for these, but couldn't have been more than $5. Definitely worth it if you're going on, I don't know, a 4 or 5 day plus adventure to have on your last night. Day 6, 13K, and I'll be at the parking lot.
Oh, I made it. Finally done. In just under 4 hours. Now it's time to go get some real food. So I'm just over here in Port Hardy, and I did have plans to go along the Sunshine Coast and even to check out a few more caves on my way down from here. But I decided to just pull a Forrest Gump, and I'm tired and I want to go home. So that's that. I guess I'll shave my beard and go back to regular life. Anyways, I had a great adventure on my last 2+ months out here, and I hope you guys had fun watching. Thanks. So I couldn't resist, and I decided to go on one last adventure on my way back here to the Artlish caves. And apparently a bridge was supposed to be out 4.5 kilometers before the caves, but when I was driving I noticed that no bridge was out, and actually there was a bridge there with some loose new gravel around, so it looks like they might have put the bridge back in. So I drove as far as I could, and I got to what's supposed to be the park, but there's not a single trail or anything in sight. But I do have a map on my phone that says that the park is located somewhere in those trees, and I know that a river runs through the cave. So I'm just gonna bushwhack, find the river, and then follow the river up and see if I can find either a trail or a way to get to these caves. Stumbled upon a blueberry patch, a lot of them. So at least I'll stay well fed on my way to the caves. Well, I made it to what's supposed to be the river, and it is as dry as a bone. There's no water at all here, but it's a little easier to walk on these rocks, so I'm just going to follow this and hopefully it leads me to a cave. Found some water, so hopefully I am getting closer. Well, this river is starting to get pretty intense with the boulders here. Nice little pool here, and it looks like it could be the entrance to the cave. You're gonna have to walk through the water and go over there and see where it leads. So it looks like this is the end of the road for me. There's no way I could get in there without some sort of equipment. It's just way too wet and slippery. Plus I am by myself here, so I don't want to risk anything. And I can see a waterfall coming down over there, so I don't know if this is one of the entrances or not. Apparently there's 2 entrances that are really big to these caves. So I might like hike around up top and see if I can find something, but looks like this might be it for me. Still quite an adventure though. Alright, I made it on top of that massive log that was against the gap inside. So I'm pretty much over the canyon right now. Just hanging out. You can see the waterfall over here. And I don't even know if there actually is an entrance to the cave there, or if that's the entrance right over there. That big hole in the rock. But it does keep going up the canyon here.